Hello and welcome to Crimson Moon. We are going to continue with Decoration Disorder and Disconnection, the fan visual novel for Kinoko Nasu's light novel series. Last time we finished that chapter, so we are going to start fresh now. Mm, let's see. Okay, I think that's how it goes. And there we go. Hey, Ishisue-san, what if you could give a form to God? What would you imagine God as? I will imagine him as a hand. If God is an object that gave mind to humans, then the human's hand is the God himself. Hands. Whatever he did, nothing worked out well. At one summer night, when he was found by a phantom under the sun, lying on a too-tired bed, he vaguely realized that if he wasn't just awfully mistaken until now, but also can't correct his mistake until death? Next morning his uneasiness came true, and now the kind smile of his father, without a filter, was a smile full of prudence, and gentle eyes of his mother weren't radiating love and care, but were blackened with indulgent pity. For a moment he remembered his friend, who did one wrong step and tumbled down the stairs. If you only look at the good side, he was a perfect child, a honor student. He asked for people's opinion, everyone valued him. But the phantom from yesterday chuckles. Know your place. Nothing will go well like clockwork. You are a loser for eternity. Recovery wasn't going well. When your way of acting lacks important vital parts, a car, even a very fast one, is imperfect and defective without brakes. One day it will fail to make a right turn. When you notice this connection, it becomes much clearer. And here you notice that your way of acting is only calling for a general amenity, and if so, well, and whatever he did, nothing worked out well. Beginning of 2004. Hisaori Shinja, male, 19 years old. He became a witness in Hisaori Miyakina's aggression outburst case, which happened in their house, and after the crime his mental condition became unstable, which is why his sanity was put under doubt, and he was placed in this clinic for appropriate procedures. What? Name? You asked that right in time. Nothing to say. That name had a meaning, but it was a long time ago, and it's mostly dispersed by now. But, well, yes, since it's been left in documents and examination results, then I'm sure it's Isaori Shinja. Right after coming to the clinic, Isaori Shinja refused to cooperate, and he neither said that he wasn't involved in the crime, nor that he's Hisaori Shinja. There seem to be a lot more typos on this chapter. I'm just going to fix them a bit while we go. Investigation assumed that it was an attempt to avoid being listed as involved in the crime, but later agreed with a psychiatrist about the necessity of clinical examination. 3 doctors diagnosed a rare mental state in which a patient will be happy to admit his Hisaori Shinja, but just can't believe it. Of course, whatever happened, I am me. I just couldn't do anything. I came to my senses after falling from a chair. Nothing changed inside of me, but my place in life disappeared. In Hisaori Shinja's statements, words the loss of self and capture were frequently repeated. A responsible doctor noted scopophobia, an obsessive idea of being constantly observed by someone. So as I was saying, when I fell, a suspicious demon got seated in a chair. By the way, it's you who left him roam free while it still wasn't late. Taking in account the tragedy consisting of 2 dead and 1 heavily wounded, and also the mental state and age of Hisaori Shinja, the medical commission made a decision of putting the patient in a clinic. 2 weeks after the tragic event took place, Hisaori Shinja admitted his guilt and repented for his sins. In clinical records, it was noted that due to the temporary nature of violent lunacy, there is a chance for full recovery after the appropriate psychiatric procedures. He may hope for indulgence of the court, though. What, are you joking? I don't intend to return to my former life. Let's say it's just because I was placed here, my reputation is already over. I don't have a place in life. What am I going to do there? Just fall into depression? An odd man out? That's not for me. Hisaori Shinja admitted the fact of murdering his parents with his own hands, of his aggression to his older sister, after which, that's why I want to die as soon as I can. But I just can't die yet. Terrible, yes, but that's my mission. You left me roaming free. Oh yes, now I have to use my life to bring down that demon. He still calls himself a victim. Below is the protocol of events from 3 years ago, during which Hisaori Koji and Hisaori Kayo were killed. Hisaori-san from the 3rd room, it's that role model one. You know? Looks like it fits. Amazing, so little, but made such a mess. And I pity him. 2, just came to the street. Bang, and bang, killed 2 people. That's like being exiled to a colony right away, right? Half a year ago, yes, but now, you know that whole obsessed thing? Well, because of it, the parents' death is an accident. Well, at least they say so. Really, I heard it was a false accusation and it sounded true. He was mumbling something crazily, but there's something about the damage done to the corpses or something like that. Is that so? Well, what did it start from anyway? Huh? You don't know? Well, listen, Hisaori-kun has an older sister. The clinic's lobby was covered with concrete. At the glazed entrance, about 10 meters wide, was covered in a picture that was nothing else but a nightmare for a patient here. Think that physically blocking the only entrance and exit was a very bad idea. Not even because the patients, me included, couldn't go outside, but because such a huge medical complex doesn't have anyone in common. Well, coming from outside patients. Not a single one. A hospital you can come into. I think it can't be called a hospital anymore. Of course, that was my personal perception on it because that was strictly a hospital. 5 wards, even though there wasn't much medical staff, not even 100 people, made it the largest hospital of the prefecture. Actually, not a single patient knew where we are. People conveniently thought we are somewhere in the north, but that doesn't actually matter as you can live here. Said that before becoming a patient here, while possessed, is still living in a society, is sent to a laboratory. Laboratories were called Origa, Kinui, and so on. Of course, it's not such a happy place here. It's an unambiguous clinic, and day after day, dozens of doctors are tiring themselves for the sake of curing us. Completely white buildings without a single stain, tranquil alleys, crystal clear chambers, huge gardens surrounded by high walls, glazed from one side of the waiting room, embraced by sunlight. Nothing to pick on, everything in order. That's why a lobby's facade was extremely out of place. Well, after all, though, it was the only place in a clinic where you could see color, and it was a lobby that was, in a way, telling us our place here. As I was coming back from the lobby to Ward B, the only one with an inside garden, music filled the clinic. Adagio by Albinoni. At the same time, some patients in the waiting room of Ward B limply went to their chambers. Private time for one of the wards was over. When the time comes to come back to the chambers, the music is sounded for the patients. If you hear it, come back to your chamber. It's improper to announce, dear patients of Ward X, your private time is over, and it's no good for other patients to know who's from which ward. Looks like everyone's music is an adagio today. I'm from the Ward C, and we had adagio by Brahms. That means that ones returning now are from either Ward B or Ward A. Patients from D can come here to Ward B, so Ward D is excluded. Music is changed every day, and if you are curious, you can find out who's from which ward, but patients here don't feel like doing such nonsense. I don't know, that sounds complicated enough. I think a lot of patients are just going to not know which song is which if they do it every day. That was in mutual assent with the staff. All patients that are allowed to leave the room are harmless like corpses. That's why in a waiting room everything's so in order that you get dizzy. On a sofa that probably wasn't stuffed from the clinic's opening day are some dormantly sitting patients still. Bleached with an afternoon sun, waiting in a waiting room that reminds you of a church. It hurts my eyes, the sights of praying corpses under the bright sun. That brings me to a thought about that summer day, and I joined the corpse company, and I fall on the sofa, unable to bear the dizziness. The opening of that isolation ward is a 10 years old story, 10 years after the discovery of the carriers of AIDS syndrome, in common parlance called possessed. Specialized health centers were built where the earliest and maybe the latest diagnosis was confirmed about 20 years ago. Symptoms of the illnesses were so surrealistic or exceeding of expectations that medical institutions couldn't react in time. As a result, the country booked an unfinished public hospital not in the greatest area of N prefecture, prepared it for curing the possessed, so it became this health center. Later, the inhabitants of Ward A, after moving to the clinic, got a duties and rights for special procedures. To this clinic, the only and greatest health center in the country, all Japanese carriers were being brought. The infection patterns were limited to the western part of Japan, so all Japanese term is inaccurate. Normally, patients diagnosed with A syndrome receive state care, after which they were brought to this clinic and then they were allocated to one of the wards A to D. Once in a clinic, a patient could not leave until they were cured and weren't allowed to meet with their family. That was necessary both to prevent leaking of distorted information to society and to protect a patient's private life. 10 years after, security classification was still high, but everything noted here isn't about the specific patients. That completely isolated from outside world sterile space. And now I think that this little world that makes you think that if everything's extinct in the outside world now was for them, carriers and patients, the best possible environment. Isa-san, Hiyori-san, are you not feeling well? Okay, this guy looks like the main character from Macro 7. I'm going to keep thinking that gentler words made my dizziness fade. Getting up from the sofa that I fell onto, I answered, I'm all right. Doctors that were crowding the waiting room quickly and habitually tested my pulse and my pupils and noted no abnormalities. Okay, don't overexert yourself. You can return to your chamber. Don't be shy. Shout. As usual, showing his knightly attitude, Dr. Doolittle, also known as Dr. Kinui, left the waiting room. Carriers. Doesn't mean that our illness is spread through air or some other type of contact. It isn't spread through fluids, skinship, or animals. Normally, carriers don't increase the number of carriers. That's the only common feature of the polymorphin A syndrome. As for confirmation of this theory, Dr. Doolittle fearlessly touched the patients. Of course, other doctors weren't so hurtful or humanitarian. On the streets, people with A syndrome are called possessed. A rude nickname, but in the absolute sense that they can be handled like normal humans. It's absolutely right. All their thinking process becomes a little bit eccentric and their body grows new organs. In mild cases, physical abilities become stronger or weaker. In heavy cases, they are multiplied. To put it bluntly, it's unmistakable. With me, my face nerves became more sensitive than normal humans, but I didn't have any special changes. Nevertheless, among those patients in the waiting room, there are some with a sixth finger or unknown outgrowths. It's easy to see them, which means we are divided to those whose old abilities were changed and those whose body was changed. The latter are frankly freaks, but they are very lucky. Dr. Kinui became like a native to them. It's like they meet Buddha in hell. The nickname Doolittle isn't just for appearances. When you talk to him, you feel like maybe you can really get cured. Whatever you say though, and if you get cured, the crimes you committed aren't going anywhere. But even just because I'm put to this clinic, my life is over. I overdid it. I didn't have to go that far. It's been 2 years since then. I blundered and was cocked. full of determination to commit a full-blown crime. I, without hurting my hands, inflicted injury on my parents. For half a year I was spending my life with those people, for whom for the same amount of time a trap was being prepared. You can really get out of a trap like that. Dad and Mom both stepped on a mine so good it was a pleasure to watch. But it missed a little, and as a result 2 dead bodies fell on the ground, one next to the other. It's a shame. It's a shame. Well, whatever. Screw the result. Everything was perfectly prepared. But all my tricks weren't worth a broken penny when I was accidentally spotted as possessed and cooked. It's like karma. Order of my actions was perfect. My blunder was that I had a goal, and in the end, as a compensation for that, I became confined in this hospital center. Though compared to other patients, I have some hope. 2 years after my parents' death was noted as an accident, and my innocence was actually proven. I didn't kill anyone yet, and I could let myself be a little optimistic. Right now I was concerned with my full recovery and finally freedom from this place. I want to come back to society. From the very beginning I was trying hard for that. From the very beginning it was my goal. I was delayed by that case with mother and father, but I'm going to be innocent again and recreate myself. I repent. This time I live like a human, in a way not to harm anyone. For that I first have to find a new way to exist. No other way, it seems. It was just when I got filled with optimism and raised my head, a weird something caught my eye. Front of the glass door leading to the inside garden, something impossible was happening. Dissolved in sunlight. A man with a paintbrush in front of a canvas around my age, but with white hair. That white-haired youngster with a bored look was drawing a worthless painting. For the first time in 2 years, my cheeks spread by themselves. The youngster sticking out his lip was moving a paintbrush on a canvas. He was just having fun drawing to kill time. Amazing. Why did he decide to do that? Never to fight my curiosity, I went up to him. Sorry, you don't mind if I stick around? Hmm? My tongue started to talk before awkwardness came. In this ward, it's uncomfortable to talk to other patients. It's not prohibited, but you just won't get answer. Probably that youngster was looking so carefree that this theory absorbed by me in the past couple years got completely forgotten. Sure, but I only have one chair. He appeared to be even more carefree than it looked from afar. I remembered the almost forgotten Earth, who knows how many years ago? Art of naturally talking. I remember the almost forgotten. Okay, that sentence is strange. Let's keep moving. Sit on the floor. Can I watch for a bit? As long as you won't be a bother. What a weird taste you have. White-haired. The white-haired one snorted and looked at me as he engulfed himself in drawing. His glance was a bit scary. He's probably always like that. But his glance was like a snake's. I have a childish face, and I try to look admiringly. He looks originally like a street bully. Which words is he from, I wonder? I didn't see him in C. It's either B or A. Probably A. Can't imagine people looking this healthy in ward B. Which ward are you from? From A. Sorry that I occupied the place in B. I have a scary sister there. I'm trying to flee to where I don't catch her eye. Okay, this is, we definitely know who he is. I look at closer, he was all in moles. He was all with moles. I only know about that from rumors because I'm quiet, but they say that disobedient patients are examined by some medical experts. That is like a demon from hell. Somehow I decide that this man is his permanent client. You don't have a hand? Yeah, I dropped it on the way here. That's why I'm now in a hospital. Whoa, I am by you. A normal clinical reason. What am I saying? But that's true. The patients they are bringing here, those with weird outgrowths. And this white-haired one with a normal wound normally would go for treatment. A normal patient. No, that's just an unthinking observation. He looks at me amazedly. He grinning with a grin that says ah, or will say B. I see. Pessimism, but optimist. By the way, yes, it's logical that I came to a hospital. His right hand with a paintbrush draws a sharp line. For a while I'm watching his movements. He isn't drawing something in particular, he just has nothing to do, and the painting's utensils caught his eyes, so he's using them. He doesn't have a motive to display that he's caught in the very process of drawing. Naturally, he doesn't care what gets drawn. His mind is in another place. That hand of yours. Which hand? The one that I have or the one that I don't? The one you have, your movements are very agile. They are fascinating. He looks at me amazedly again. Maybe he's always this amusing. The one I have. Amazing. Usually people ask me about how I lost my left one. There is no meaning to talk about what is not there. I have more interest in your right one. Is it possible to be so agile at handling everything with one hand? The white-haired one chuckled. I don't have the other one, so I'm doing my best. His movements are so natural, it feels like he was born with one hand. I wanted to talk with him again, but then I heard music, Adagio by Brahms, the slow classic tune, pressuring the freedom of C's patience. Are you going to be here tomorrow too? If I'll be able to move after examination, the picture's going to take a while. Relieved, I get up. I have to say my goodbyes and go back to Ward C. Wait, let me write down your name. Looks like he has a horrible memory. He seems to have a habit of writing down everything new and important. I'm Hisaori Shinja, and you? Shinja, it doesn't fit you. Well, I'm not one to talk. The white-haired one writes in a corner of a canvas, which means location. Weird name, right? The white-haired comments ironically, but with some pride in it, smiles and adds, it is read as Arica. With that. That's how on the second year of my confinement, I got acquainted with Ishisue Arika. If you think about it, from the handful of friends I have, with the two I have got acquainted with in this clinic. One is, as you already guessed, is this white-haired guy. The other one's, the other one is afterwards drowning in this clinic in blood. Will be afterwards drowning this clinic in blood. His sister. The wards ordered from A to D are equipped with strict exit-entry control. The patient's freedom consists of two levels. First, one of them, freedom to leave their chambers, is given to patients like me or Ishisue-san, who didn't have any cases of aggressive behavior in the past. Directorate also decided to give freedom of taking strolls to neighboring wards. That is the second freedom level. It was intended to allow communication between the carriers and recovery of their social behavior. It wasn't called for. They have more than enough of themselves. They just don't communicate. Me and Ishisue-san are exceptions. But Ishisue-san is an amazing guy, a level above me. He can freely talk to any patient. I think that was the reason he got almost killed a couple of times, but he doesn't learn. He just doesn't have anything that resembles feelings of danger. Well, what can I do? Mato-san told me to talk to other patients as much as I could. The same old waiting room in Ward B. Ishisue-san said that today he's going to finally finish the painting, in a voice that felt like he absolutely hates the very thought of it. You don't like to paint, Ishisue-san? Well, not to say I don't like it. It's cool, but it's strange. I only started because some doctor suggested to kill time like that, and today is the last time. After that, yeah, I wanna play catchball or something like that. Ishisue-san, being an unexpectedly responsible guy, doesn't drop what he started halfway. Like he said himself, if I don't finish it properly, I'd be scared for my afterlife. It's nice for you guys from Ward A. You get to borrow that sort of stuff. They say you can even watch TV in the waiting room? Only the local boring stuff, and there's so many wilding to do so that there's a real contest for it as well. Well, nothing too great. And behind the wall they are writing reports about how we react to certain films. That's not entertainment, that's being elaborate. That means we're also paying for others' music. That isn't fun. Yeah, you know, I think your ward is more fun. I mean, I won't go to D even while threatened by death. The only rule of free commuting between wards, however it was made by, is that you can only commute to wards neighboring your own. As a patient from Ward C, I can go in either B or D. Ishisue-san, as a patient from Ward A, can go further than Ward B. You can say it like that, patients from A and D can't meet. The patients are divided between A to D by, of course, the development level of their agonistic syndrome. A is mild, D is heavy. Patients are sent to Ward A if they have no visible outgrowths or changes, or those that have complications from a wound dealt by a carrier. Normal patients, Ishisue sign is obviously normal and an envious glance. If it wasn't for isolation and limitations of free time, their life was like that of normal people. The schedule, 3 examinations per day. Well, many times of examinations. Chat with arbitrary patients. Ishisue-san says that there's about 20 patients there. The inside structure of the building is quite right too. Except for one room for special examinations by a private medical expert that is out of the ordinary. I don't know what's common between patients of Ward B. They look like relatively stable and curable people, even though some have neoformations. It's almost like surgical intervention is all they need. Not the level where removal of neoformations leads to death. I'm making this conclusion based on Dr. Doolittle's words that when they find a way for surgical intervention, they remove the infected organ. As the symptomatics are completely individual, investigations are proceeding sluggishly. Everyone needs their own surgery, and development of new medicaments and techniques is not an easy task, so surgeries are very rare. Ward B has the most patients. They also have the classiest waiting room. Well, and our Ward C is for those patients whose symptoms are stabilized as A syndrome, possessed. It's actually not as dangerous here as in Ward B. Patients whose consciousness is breached are not allowed outside their chambers. The ones that are allowed are stable and won't go rampaging again. But patients with weird body parts, even the slightest, don't leave their rooms, and as a result the ward is empty like a jail. I was in the ward D only once. If ward C is a jail, then D is ruins. Even doctors with security guards are only appearing near the entrance. Most patients are afraid of lights, so corridors are barely lit, almost like a cave. When I thought about escaping from here, I decided I should know at least the basic layout of Ward D, but I couldn't even reach the waiting room. And what I got to know, patients there were in the last stage of the syndrome. Procedures and amputations don't work. You can say they are fully developed. Only about 3 people are living there. The other 40 are in seclusion. By the way, around half a year ago, they moved a new patient to Ward D. It was the biggest all-hands job in the past 2 years. Clinic's been in a wild turmoil, and after 3 years of some mega surgery, the almost dead patient was checked for life signs and sent to Ward D. Doctors that carried out the surgery for some reason dropped them to a mixer, but somehow they still lived, or so they say. Anyway, that's how the Ward D is holding an army of monsters. How do you think? What are the possessed, Ishisue-san? Unfortunately, people with a terrible disease or creatures that are not human anymore. In a waiting room with nothing but corpses, I asked the only living creature. It looks like he felt weak for a bit, remembering Ward D. Who knows? I'm not a doctor. I don't know the definition of human. When something inside or outside changes, but you don't know how it was originally, you can say what the difference is. Clever analogy. Even doctors don't know that until the autopsy. For us, normally living, well, yeah, maybe those that you can talk to normally are the human ones. Difference between medical and philosophical definition of human. Ishisue-san seems to give a lot of meaning to the mental part and ignores logic too much. Cool. You know what? I wish you were my upperclassman. I will attend school properly then. You just don't give a damn about anything, do you? I could lend money from you and you will forget about it the next day. I would, but it's okay. I'm writing down that sort of stuff. Paintbrushes moves on the canvas. The canvas is 80% black by now. It's not just that he doesn't wish to paint anything in particular. He also makes mistakes a lot and proceeds as a result that even an abstractionist will faint after seeing. And it's almost completed. Anyway, it's nothing to be thinking deeply about. Possession is just like a catching a cold. Possessed aren't guilty, and the main problem is what to do with them after that. Jisue-san's logic is built from a safe distance. Absolutely thoughtless idealism. But I have to agree with that formulation. Yeah, I'm those who cut cults. You are unfortunate enough, you'll catch it, whoever you are. He just doesn't understand it after all. People that catch colds are those that have weak health from the start. Well, anyway, why are you saying that? The word possess isn't used much around here, is it? I don't remember Edward D and started thinking seriously if we are really humans. The paintbrush freezes. Ishisue-san makes a funny face again. You know what, Hisaori? About that monster cemetery there? Forget it. Don't think about it. Don't even say it. It holds the real demons. Sure that if you speak in medical terms, these are aliens. Oh, come on. The doctor said there was a girl that was beautiful like a flower. Come half a year ago, she was around 14. He said the gothic Lolita dress fits her perfectly, or something like that. Don't take Dr. Dolittle seriously. It's just his passion for lollies. Incurable disease, pedophilia. It wasn't gothic, it was a wedding dress, blackened with blood. How do you know that? What? I came here half a year ago too. I got it. Explanation accepted. Bold paintbrush movements resume. It's really amazing. He's drawing such a crappy painting, but movements of his right hand are so fresh and perfect. Ishisue-san is very attentive and answers everything you ask him. Even though 4 out of 5 answer, he says it with an uninteresting face. It's interesting to watch such lively mimics, adding special nuances to all of his words. Ishisue-san, what were you doing outside? Nothing much. Living normally, got wounded normally finished a monster. Just that. I'm watching every wrinkle of his while he says that. Stopped feeling my limbs and just concentrated on watching. Feels like I'm made of ice alone. And before that? You look 20 or so. Were you studying? Half a year in a university, I just made a report on social relationships when everything went down. I'm counting his pulse, his breathing rhythm. Meaningless topics, meaningful topics. Topics that he likes and topics that he doesn't like. I'm raising any questions I can and correct it with the real him inside my head. You didn't have a lover, right? You're so cold. Who knows? Maybe I had, but I don't remember. This guy doesn't remember even that sort of stuff? But his reaction was valuable. That's why I'm not going to be mad for now. Thousands of things I should watch. The silent pauses are very important. As time passes, little by little, I merge my imagination with the shoe sounds. I like this simple work of mine. Music is here. Corpses are starting to slog out of the waiting room. Ishizue-san doesn't seem to care. So it was a sonata for Ward B patients just now. Say, Ishizue-san, what do you think of God? I'm asking this last question while thinking if I should watch and learn from him or not. I already decided to keep our friendship forever, but there is still one line that is yet to be confirmed. Should make at least that I should make at least sure of that while I still can. I don't see a connection. Why that all of a sudden? Well, we started from demons, which means God is next. In this way, we didn't have that sort of, we didn't know of that sort of stuff. I don't know about Buddha either. If you want to talk about God, talk to Doolittle. He's gonna keep you occupied for the whole night. I don't mean the definition of God or belief. What do you imagine when you hear God? Nothing. Emptiness. No shadow. No looks. No smell. No feel. He understands God like that. It's not that God is an empty concept, but that God is emptiness itself. Half belief. It's different from my view on that, but it's acceptable. Even if I don't know how he thinks, I can understand him. How about you, Hisaori? Do you believe in God? Not as much as I believe, not as much as to worship, not to God, but to what symbolizes Him. And if you could give form to God, what would you imagine Him as? It's a task like drawing the air. Well, if He's that great and almighty, then an eye or a light, maybe. He wasn't hesitating with his answer at all. He didn't even give me a wry smile for giving him an uninteresting question. He asked just as did Shizue-san, I imagine. I will imagine him as a hand. If God is an object that gave mind to humans, then the human hand is the God himself. What's that? Anthropomorphism. It's a result of the mind. That's what people have, but animals don't. That's the hands. I don't get it. The mind is the brain, isn't it? That's where knowledge is collected. Don't say it like that. Even animals have brains, and the human's mind is worthless to an animal. It doesn't have any ability superior to theirs. Isn't the brain just a machine to move your hands? Oh damn, he just gave me such a weird look. I'm kind of uncomfortable. But he's my new friend, so I'll get mad later. I just have fun for now. If you say so, but it means that we both lost God. Yeah, but there's nothing we can do about that. It's normal for the demon possessed. From that simple element, Ishizue's hand that felt so alive stops. For the last time he moves his paintbrush and mumbles, well, something like that. Oh, you are finished. If I continue, it will turn out all black, and it's almost time to go back. A great moment. Start to gather the painting tools scattered in the waiting room for about a week. Is he mad at me for bringing up that topic? Ishizue-san, what are you going to do with this picture? I don't need it. I'll give it to Dr. Dolittle, and it'll be born in a couple of years, I guess. Oh, how can you say that? Give it to me, please. I, I, I don't promise to keep it perfectly safe, but it will at least decorate my room. He looks at me amazedly again. Ishizue-san kept thinking, making faces, but in the end, he decided that it will be too much of a hassle to bring it with him. Alright, but note that even if you try to return it, I'm not taking it back. Okay, don't wave your copyrights in front of me then. With incredible agility, Ishizue-san picked up everything with one hand and went back to Ward A. I'm looking at the finished painting. Strokes which render 80% of the picture black. Thought it was a butterfly with scattered wings, but after investigating it closer, I understood the simple theme of it. The sign Arika in a corner and two children holding hands. The heavier the symptoms of patients, the more breaks in their schedules. Waking up at 6, breakfast at 7, examination after breakfast, dinner and free time till lunch. But that's what it's like for me in Ward C. In Ward D, they probably don't even get feds. Patient-like lives are spent in B and A wards. Ishizue-san is always relaxed, but in difference from me, he only has lunch break as free time. His day is like that, waking up, being with me till breakfast, then a round on internal therapy, external therapy, psychotherapy, chat with other patients, PA, examination by medical experts, ACA questioning, and so on. Incredible detailed schedule. And you can skip anything. Clinic keeps watch on all your movements. Examination is alright, but what is that marathon for? And I feel bad that Ishizue-san was the only one to go through that. To keep up the talk with him, I am following a similar schedule as much as possible. And then it seems like my wish came true. For the first time since my arrival, I was sent to the torture room. I mean the examination room. Nice to meet you. Well, no, we already met when you were brought here. Okay, sit down now. Time's not waiting. Too big of a room for an examination room. Not enough items in it. High ceiling, a glassed watching room at around the height of a second story. Feels like you are a single white chip on a go board. Behind me the room is tilted. The patient's entrance is below, and the entrance she used is on top. In the middle of the room is a table and 3 chairs on the side of it. Well, I think we are going to leave it for now. It's interesting to get a backstory now. I think we can guess this is all going to be about Arika's sister on the D ward escaping or something like that. But for now, we will leave it here. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for joining us here on Crimson Moon.